here's Alex from Black Sheep IT Consulting. And today we are doing something, well, traditional, has become a tradition to install a fresh Siebel CRM training goofbox instance. And of course it's 2026 and we're going to use, well, here you can see it on your screen, Oracle Compute Cloud, or Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And I'm about to go to my instances on OCI and create a VM, create an instance to hold my future Siebel CRM machine. So yeah, we're doing things a little bit different this year as, well, time has moved on. So let's call this the Siebel 26 machine, just machine. And I'm going for, well, not Oracle Linux 9, so we are using Windows 2025 server. So the Windows 2025 standard with Oracle paying the license. And that is because, well, Siebel 25 is certified with Windows Server 2025, and so, of course, is Siebel 26. And for the shape, let's make sure we use a shape that supports nested virtualization. Why? Because I want to use Podman on this machine to deploy not one, but maybe two Siebel enterprises, and not one database, but maybe two. Yes, I want to use containers as well. So I'll go for the Intel shape series with the optimized flex, and yeah, it's always more fun when you do these heavy lifting stuff to get a little bit more OCPU. So 6 should be nice. That cranks up the memory to 84 gig, which is of course very nice to have for Siebel and some databases. So we select this shape. Yeah, the wizard takes us through here. We don't need any shielded instances. Okay, for the networking, I'll just leave my VCN, which is in public. I get an IP4 address. Has anybody used IPv6? I don't know. For the boot volume, yeah, we definitely need more gigabytes on the boot volume and more performance. 250 would be fine. Gigabytes, that is. And we're good to go. So yeah, there's the instance. It will be created and it will have an Oracle generated password. So I'll hit create here. And it's provisioning. So once it's finished provisioning, we'll come back to the machine. I'll pause the video recording for now. See you later. All right, the machine has been provisioned and it's running. So let's do the first connection. When you're on OCI, you get for the first machine instantiation, you get an initial password. I've been showing that here. And that password has to be changed on the first login to that machine. So I also have a public IP address, which I can copy and I can paste it in remote desktop connection. And that should give me, yeah, okay, let's not ask that again, and let's not ask that again. So here's the machine, yay. And so I shall now enter that password. And as expected, password must be changed. So here's my new password. Okay. I always find that funny, the password reset disk thingy in the age of cloud. But yeah, here we go. So that is the first login to a fresh Windows 2025 server, and it wants to talk to Microsoft. Let's trim that down a little bit so Oracle doesn't get too big a bill. And well, here's a nice desktop, Windows 11, and well, no video is complete these days without a reference to artificial intelligence or agentic AI. So I'm a Claude user, and I've spun up my local Claude desktop and have put the question, I have a fresh instance of Windows 25 on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. I want to be able to run Oracle database as a container with Podman on this instance. So I've done it before. So I have some expertise, if you will, some knowledge about this. And so I went into a discussion with Claude, actually asked explicitly for a markdown document because it was about to create a Word document. And I'm on the third or fourth iteration of this document. So I like me some planning and documentation, which I think as we are about to lose our programming skills, we let AI do that. So we replace the programming language with natural language. We should be able to focus on the real skills that still distinguish us from the word generator, and that is, of course, planning and documentation and understanding, a more global understanding. So, yeah, I came up with this document after a while of discussions and identifying the best options. So the first thing that I've identified here is that I need to enable the Microsoft hypervisor, the Windows Linux subsystem, which is required for Podman. Of course, you can find that on the Podman documentation as well. So I have some PowerShell commands I need to run first. So let's go here to PowerShell, and we run it as administrator. So first PowerShell, and we can pin that to taskbar so we have it later. Okay, also we'll keep a local, we have some notepad here, local copy of these commands. So we are going to enable the hypervisor, the virtual machine platform, the Microsoft Windows subsystem for Linux, the WSL, and we set the hypervisor launch type to auto, so it launches automatically when the machine boots, and then we restart the computer. So let's run these commands until here. Let's run the first three. Okay, it's doing the thing. So since we run a virtual machine, which is already virtualized, and then we run a hypervisor on that machine, your cloud vendor must support this. So OCI supports this. So we are, yeah, restart is suppressed. That's nice. So we now run this. And we can restart the computer. Well, let's just use the command. I could use any other means to restart the computer. So yeah, pausing the video until the computer is back. All right, so we have our machine back, and we can now install Windows subsystem for Linux using, of course, PowerShell as administrator. And started a notepad. But didn't save it. Okay, so I'll just have to go there again. So now it's saved and we can, well, let's run these step by step. This one installs the WSL. Okay. If you haven't looked into WSL, it's really something. So you have for years now a native Linux kernel on Windows, which is really something and enables a lot of cool things like Bash or, well, Linux native stuff, including, of course, things like Podman running a Linux virtual machine to run the containers. So now set the default version. I think that's not really necessary, but yes. And we update, run an update. It's okay, and get the status. Default version 2. Let's get a version. Okay. So the next step, according to Claude, is install Podman on the Windows. I've done some research on Podman, and you can download it from Podman Desktop, and we will download Podman Desktop, which is well, we have a Windows desktop, so why not use a desktop environment? But we, of course, need to install the Podman native command line version. So we have a few PowerShell commands here, and I'll run them. So this is using winget. See how it goes. Yep. Okay, it's downloading and setting it up. Nice. Okie dokie. Well, you can refresh the path or you can just restart PowerShell. Let's just restart PowerShell. Bit safer or not. Just me as a boomer. Okay, and we have us Podman. Very nice. So next thing I'll do is I'll visit the Microsoft Edge browser first time. Okay, I'll skip that. And welcome to your AI browser. Yes, this is everywhere now. So let's go search for Podman Desktop. Download. There we go. So Podman Desktop is optional, but it's of course a good option here on Windows. We have the Windows installer, download. And we can run it. Only for me, that's fine for now. So I don't want to run it right now. I'll run it later when we have actually a Podman machine, because otherwise Podman Desktop will kind of try to establish the machine, and I want to have better control. All right, so Podman Desktop is installed. So the next step is actually to prepare the Windows subsystem for Linux for use. So as per the documentation which you can find, the limit is by default 50% to RAM. We want to increase that. We want to make sure that the machines using Windows subsystem for Linux can use all the resources. We want maximum performance. So I pitched that idea to Claude, and Claude came back with settings, and here are the settings it recommends for maximum performance in the WSL settings panel. So let's go to the machine, and we have our settings panel here. I use all the processors. I have increased this to 64. I actually crank it up to 75,000. 75 gigabyte swap size. Let's increase that. So let's give it 16 gig of swap. And the rest is okay, I guess. So let's double check. No GUI applications, no nested virtualization, the VM timeout 1 hour. So no GUI, no nested, timeout. That's 60,000 milliseconds, that's 60 seconds. Okay. And we have auto memory reclaim and sparse VHD. One is disabled. That's experimental features. Not sure where we can set them here. Well, we probably do without them. Okay. So next thing, we need to shut down and restart WSL before we can initialize our Podman machine. Okay. So that's shut down, and the Podman initialization will probably start it up. So Podman on Windows requires a machine, which is a default Podman machine that needs to run. So I've compiled, or have Claude compile the typical sequence here. So let's copy that. And let's put that in our notepad. So this one initializes the machine. Okay, it downloads the machine from the internet. Let's see if the WSL jumps on. Okay, that was successful. Oh, we also get get a welcome page for WSL. So now we can start the machine. Let's do this like so. Podman machine start. So the machine is called Podman machine default by, well, default. And that is cool. So if we now go to Podman desktop, we start that for the first time, it should recognize that machine. So Podman desktop has a few steps to set up. I will just keep the defaults here, turning off the telemetry, and it will auto start Podman engine. No, we don't want that because we want to start it manually. Okay, could not find any Podman machine. That's weird. Let's skip that for now. Okay. So here on that Podman dashboard, down here we have the Podman running, Podman machine default. There's a lot of stuff on this dashboard, but we have Podman machine running. We have no containers yet. We have no images yet. Of course, we have to change that. Okay, I adjusted the settings a little bit to dark mode and zoom. Still we need images first and containers, so that's be our next step.